Research 1. I am Sir Jelby, your virtual research teacher.
Welcome to another learning episode in Research 1 entitled Research Design. I am Mark Angelbert Didulay, and you can find me at JelbySpace.ph. Past experiences and observations suggest certain hypotheses. Theoretical considerations may also play a major role in arriving at hypotheses. After formulating a hypothesis, an experimental procedure is designed for its verification. The experimental procedure consists of 4 parts: selection of the appropriate materials for the test, a specification of the variable to be measured, selection of the procedure to be used in the measurement of the variable, and a specification of the procedure to be used to determine whether the measurements support the hypothesis. Research design. According to Kerlinger, cited in Kumar 2011, a research design is a plan, structure, and strategy of investigation so conceived as to obtain answers to research questions or problems. It is the complete scheme or program of the research. The design of an experiment depends on the type of research being undertaken and the nature of the conditions under which the investigation is done. It is dictated by the questions it has to answer. Since each problem is unique, it follows that it also requires a unique design. A research design is embodied in a research proposal. It is a written plan about what researcher proposes to do in his investigation. A research proposal contains the following sections: introduction, background of the study, statement of the problem, hypothesis, significance of the study, scope and delimitations, definition of terms, review of related literature and studies, literature review, related studies, methodology, and references. Planning and principles of research design. As stated on the previous discussion, after the research topic has been finalized, the researcher has to plan the details of what design to use, what type of data will provide answers to problems of the study, and how the data will be gathered, presented, analyzed, and interpreted. The subject of the study is the main material being used in the experiment. It is also called the experimental unit. It can be a person, an animal, a plot in a field, a plant, a leaf, or a model of a device. The experimental unit may be subjected to different treatments depending upon the objectives of the study. A treatment denotes any procedure done on the experimental unit. The effect of this procedure is to be measured and analyzed. Principles of research design. In a research design, there are certain basic principles to be followed. The principles which are always present in a research design are replication, randomization, local control, and control of extraneous variables. First, replication. Replication is a very necessary element in the design of any research. Doing just the basic experiment is not enough. The experiment should be repeated several times to find an estimate of variations among observations of the group of subjects treated alike. Replications allows the researcher to assess the significance of the observed differences. Randomization. Randomization refers to the assignment of the experimental subjects to the treatments by chance. It is done to create equivalent groups prior to the experiment. It tends to average out differences among groups. It reduces possible bias in comparative experiments. It also assures a valid or unbiased statement of the population parameters and the validity of the statistical test of significance. Local control. Local control is done when balancing, grouping, and blocking of experimental units are employed in the adapted design. Experimental units are allocated to a block in such a manner that the units within the block are relatively homogeneous. Experimental units may be blocked according to certain characteristics such as height, age, weight, gender, grade level, pH level, and so on. Control of extraneous variables. In an experimental design, we have to make sure that no outside or experimental variables may affect the experimental subjects. The control of extraneous variable is necessary. Identical conditions must be provided for the control and experimental groups. these two groups should differ only in terms of the absence or presence of the treatment. Common types of research design: experimental research. In complete randomized design, treatments are assigned randomly to the experimental subjects without restriction. The experimental subjects in this case should be homogeneous with respect to all other factors which could affect the treatments being compared if they were not controlled. Randomized complete block design, or RCBD. The randomized complete block design divides the experimental subjects into more or less homogeneous groups called blocks. Blocking is done to make sure that the experimental subjects in a group have similar characteristics so that the observed differences among the groups will be largely due to the treatment. Blocking also helps in giving more accurate results than the CRD. There are no restrictions as to the number of treatments or number of blocks in the experiment. Other types of research design. One-shot case study research design. In this type of experimental study, only one dependent group or variable is considered. The study is carried out after some treatment, which was presumed to cause change, making it a post-test study. One group pre-test post-test research design. This research design combines both post-test and pre-test study by carrying a test on a single group before the treatment is administered and after the treatment is administered, with the former being administered at the beginning of treatment and later at the end. Static group comparison. In a static group comparison study, two or more groups are placed under observation, where only one of the groups is subjected to some treatment while the other groups are held static. All the groups are post-tested, and the observed differences between the groups are assumed to be a result of the treatment. The post-test only control group design. In this design, subjects are randomly selected and assigned to the two groups, and only the experimental group is treated. After close observation, both groups are post-tested, and a conclusion is drawn from the difference between these groups. Pre-test post-test control group design. For this control group design, subjects are randomly assigned to the two groups. Both are presented, but only the experimental group is treated. After close observation, both groups are post-tested to measure the degree of change in each group. Solomon 4-group design. This is the combination of the pre-test only and the pre-test post-test control groups. In this case, the randomly selected subjects are placed into 4 groups. Thank you. If you have questions, feel free to send me a message at JelbyPH.
That's all for this day. If you have any questions, follow me at the following. Thank you.